Are we live? We're waiting. Okay, we're in here.
Okay, awesome.
Happy Wednesday, ladies and gents.
Happy Wednesday.
Let's wait for a couple
Another
people.
Live.
We'll wait a couple minutes for people to come in, but we'll just kind of shoot the chat a little bit. How was you guys' weekend?
I'll let you go first, Jasmine.
It was 4th of July weekend, huh?
Was it? I didn't know.
Yeah. So Saturday, what did I do? I just, chilled in the house because it's quarantine. I think I took a walk. And then I went over to my cousin's house on Sunday for a little, dinner.
Okay, that's
dinner and a movie.
Decent. What about you, Mr. Green?
For myself, what was it? 4th of July was actually pretty chill. I didn't do anything. It was a blackout the 4th, so we did a protest, and that was pretty awesome. We did that at City Hall in Lancaster. Then we had a nice little a place of healing for it because the murders that's been happening out here.
Yeah.
So that and then I went to my families. I went to my best friends. Got a lot of food and more food, and then took my butt home and went to sleep.
You were able to sleep? Because I wasn't. It was
fireworks.
I wasn't into it. It was Baghdad over there.
It was.
The Thunderbird, that the planes that the military 4th of July they flew right over my house, and I was outside. I thought I was in fucking Baghdad. I was like, I literally thought the military was coming.
I just said to myself, you know what? Everybody had time this year to go get all these fireworks because they didn't have nothing else to do. So when I tell you it was professional grade, it was professional grade. And I went outside and I watched. I don't celebrate the 4th of July anymore. But yeah, so I mean, it was what it was. People showed out and they still had a good time. It was nice to see the neighborhoods and people outside and social distancing, but enjoying themselves. So, but it looks like we have some people in, so we're gonna get this show on the road.
Yeah,
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday.
Special shout out to my cousin Denise Gums, who's already in.
I love her.
Hi, cousin.
Shout out to Denise.
So we're going to jump into it. I want to get started, but before we do, I would like for us to introduce ourselves. I am Sharique LeMay. I am a media host and producer. We have Miss Jasmine.
I am Jasmine Laverne. I'm a media entrepreneur. I'm at the intersection of politics and entertainment.
Hey now.
Green. What up, everyone? Thank you for joining us. My name is Christian Green. I am a professor at community college as well as Cal State universities and UCs all over the world, hopefully soon. But more so, I'm into politics. I love education and I love helping people. So this is what we're here for today, to talk about that.
Yeah, and in just a moment, our girl Gigi, Miss Gigi is going to be hopping in just a second, so we'll bring her in as soon as she becomes available. But so many things to talk about, you guys, that have happened since last Wednesday. So we're going to get into it. Before we do, I want to talk about specifically this NFL lift every voice and sing thing. I don't know about y'all, but when I heard about it, I had the biggest eye roll I could possibly ever have in my lifetime. So what do you guys think about the NFL trying to play the Negro National Anthem for the first few games when the NFL season starts?
I think, go ahead, Jasmine. Go in. Go.
Okay, so I remember our first episode, we talked about performative activism.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I mean. I just do not see the value in us singing the Negro National Anthem. I think we should let ourselves have something. We already gave them access to Juneteenth. I think we just give it away all of our culture. I see the reverence in it. And I see what they're trying to do, but you're going to play it the first few games and then what?
Right.
Pay them athletes their money, pay the concession people their money, because I know they're not getting paid anything. And that's what we want. We want pay. We want laws. We don't need another sing song, something to entertain you.
Yeah, I agree. Christian?
Yeah, definitely. The performative action, the performative activism is definitely key. I think that I was watching a lot of videos. I think it's actually a horrible idea. I think that, first of all, start with that. is that it's a horrible idea. I think it's like, patronizing us and pandering the Black community. And I think that that's unfair. People know that predominantly those that are makeup of the NFL is what? Black people.
I think 80%.
Right? 80%. 80% of it. And then you have, what is it? It's an annual budget of $8.78 billion that they revenue. I don't know how much they were going to donate to Black Lives Matter. I was trying to look it up. But, even with that certain amount, this act of pandering, I'm really, really confused on, I won't say confused, but more so I'm getting arguments from both sides, right? Mm-hmm. And people are like, well, it's a great sign of respect, X, Y, and Z. But why now? Why now when Kaepernick was calling out back then? And then it's like, okay, well, now let's try to shoot the gun and try to be nice or, try to cater to it. And so for me, it's like all the money that they make, all the people that is on the field, like it's not enough. A lot of people, there's not a lot of Black franchise owners.
No.
And when they are, they're minority owners instead of majority owners.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. And then another question is, where's Jay-Z? Where's he at?
What is his role in the NFL? Did we ever get that?
What's going on? Like, where are you at? And
I think he's part owner of a stadium in Yonkers or where he's from. I'm not sure it's with the NFL or
no, he's part. That's the Barclays Center. That's
Barclays Center. Okay. We'll get some more information on that.
But I think, is it just an entertainment deal that Rock Nation has? Because Rock Nation has a partnership with the NFL. We never got clues or any access to what that deal actually is. But again, if it's just us shucking and jiving, then what's the use? That is not going to do anything for us. He has a seat at the table to influence these owners to support Black Lives Matter, to donate some more stuff. Like, no, give us jobs, give us access to the boardrooms, give us access to NFL corporate. Yeah. I know a lot of people who work a lot of places. I don't know one person that worked for the NFL.
Child, I've met a couple. So little history on me.
Oh, actually, I do. I'm lying, but for teams, not the actual NFL.
Yeah, not the actual. Okay. So if you're aware of the history of the Oakland Raiders, there used to be two separate leagues. There was the AFL, which was spearheaded by Davis, who was the owner of the Raiders. He passed away. And then there was the NFL. And there's basically this whole monopoly within the NFL and why they had to shut down the AFL and became this one, big.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then, there's stadium teams. You have to think about the NFL. There's so many players on the team too, right?
D-leagues.
Exactly. So we have to definitely look at everything that's happening. But, I personally think, no shucking and jiving. That's our song. We sing that song at my Kwanzaa celebrations. To me, it kind of feels like you got to know the song. You got to be in with the culture to know it, to appreciate its value, to know its history, and just throwing it out there as a bone. To me, I feel disrespected completely.
Yeah. And when you think about the song, it's the Negro Spiritual, and where Negro Spirituals came from. It's just so ironic to me. Hey, Jerica.
Hey.
It's so ironic to me how we're given these Negro spirituals that we sung on the plantation that was formed out of pain. And while they can still be sung today and we still need to remember them, those are the songs to me that we should be singing.
Yeah.
Let's sing Freedom by Beyonce and Kendrick. That's the song I want to sing.
Right. Hey, Jerica, so we're talking about the Negro National Anthem being played during the first few NFL games. What are your thoughts?
Right. I heard y'all was like, where's Jay-Z? And I mean, here's the thing. Here is the thing. Being a part of the movement is trendy. They always want to be a part of the movement when it's trendy, right? Yeah. So, an example, we were wearing cornrows forever. Now it's box braids. We've been curvy forever, but now people are getting implants. So, am I surprised that they want to play the National Negro Anthem? No, I'm not, because it's trendy.
Exactly.
It's trendy. Okay, let me be a part of the trend.
Right, exactly.
Well, it took Kaepernick how long to even get employment?
Absolutely.
He's in movies now. It's like, I mean, he has the access to do
that one deal.
He football.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I guess we all have a collective agreement that we do not like.
We do not like it. Exit out. And then I want to shout out to the Washington team. Yeah, but we're changing our name.
It's been so long time coming. Like, I can't believe it's 2020 and they're just now having this conversation.
But you have to give it up to the team because they're the only team in the NFL who won a Super Bowl with a black quarterback.
Hey,
I don't know what year it was. It was like the 80s or
something. You're a NFL fan to know that.
Huh?
You're a real NFL to know that. I mean, you're a big fan.
Our family are Redskins fans. Pretending to the Washington Warriors, I hope, or the Washington Red Tails, which
I like the Red Tails.
I like the meaning behind it, but I like the Warriors.
I got you.
It has a ring.
Warriors, you know, that's famous all day. But speaking of somebody just chucking and jiving, we got to go ahead and talk about Mr. West. Christian, I'll let you take it away on that one because I know you have your feelings and you've been pretty vocal about it.
Okay. So there's a few things. I think is I don't want to take all the answers, but like he's a joke and he's a joke. Meaning that like what was it like a year ago, 2 years ago, saying that slavery was a choice?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we just going to forget that? And, you know, people are buying in because of his celebrity lifestyle. I mean, he got over, 100,000 retweets on Twitter. And, you know, people are blowing it up. And so it's like, it's kind of like, it makes me upset because you have the church world. I mean, the church world was very forgiving, right? They were like, yeah, let's go sing songs with Kanye. So now he's more loved and more appreciated nowadays. And so then you still have like this wearisome. At the end of the day, he's a Trump brand. He was a reporter. So now everyone's coming out with he's dumping the Trump. So it's like, come on now. It's just really, I encourage whoever's watching, do not even engage in that. I haven't even tried to share anything, have any conversation with it because it's like, it's a waste of breath. It's like, come on now. Why were we even considering?
Go ahead, Jerica.
No, I was just gonna say I can't even say I'm a church person. I didn't believe into Kanye's when he was going to church. This whole church thing, I didn't buy into it. Some people did. They're like, oh, he's leading people to God. And in my head, I was like, well, who's God? Is he leading people to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I feel like Kanye and even his wife, they do things again to stay a part of the trends and to try to, okay, people are going more towards God. Okay, let me do this church and I don't have to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's talking about running for president, but the reality of it is he didn't put in his paperwork, so he's just all talk.
Yeah, he did miss the deadline for
right.
Fill out the paperwork. So it's kind of like, why?
The concern I have is that it's going global. So I saw one woman, I forget what country she was from. She was a leader of another country. Mm-hmm. And her press asked about it. And she had to say, you know, I have no interest in having this conversation, which is good. But the fact that globally, this is what our conversation is. And so I think as much as we want to ignore it, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that, yes, he didn't file the paperwork, but what I'm nervous about is that his supporters, the guys on Fairfax who are standing in line on Supreme and all the people who spend thousands of dollars on his merch and his concerts, they're going to write in Kanye West as a joke. I don't trust the Generation Z. I know some of them are kind of woke and got some sense to them. But I'm really nervous that it's just going to backfire. And I think that he's a Trump operative. Like he says like, oh, he's dumped Trump and he's not with Trump anymore. But I think that it's a whole press campaign. And that's all this is. And I'm thinking about this day and day of how the media and how clickbait and how anything to get a story going is what these celebrities are putting their eggs in the baskets with. But it just doesn't make sense to me. Like again, Terry Crews, him talking. Like, shut up. If you're not helping the cause, like, just shut up. Just
Right.
I think
quiet.
all of this distraction. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a distraction. I think we do have to be careful about the narrative, and like Christian said, if we're sharing it too much, I think I always have a belief, even when Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California, you know what I mean? Nobody thought that was really going to happen.
Well, I mean, Reagan was the governor.
He became the president. So we can't just negate it. I don't think we could just say not take Kanye seriously. I don't think he's going to become president. However, I do think he's going to substantially influence a swing in the votes that is not going to benefit the far left.
Literally, I had an 18-year-old that was like, Kanye's running? Yeah, I love him. I'm like, what?
And the thing about it is the way he is talking about his presidency, that it would be kind of futuristic, and Elon Musk co-signed him.
Yeah.
That's also where it gets dangerous, because think of the Elon Musk loyalist.
Mm-hmm.
I would love kind of a futuristic, like science-backed, let's innovate country. We all would love that. But is your role president, or can you influence from the outside, Kanye?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Every role is not for you.
It's just unfortunate. I was on a live, and lives, everybody from all around the world, come in. And I'll never forget, this was recent, it was a couple of days ago. The guy was like asking this girl, she lives in Qatar, but she's from the States. He's like, are you going to come back? She was like, no, the US is a joke.
Mm.
Like, I don't want to go back there.
I just want these borders open up.
It's unfortunate that other countries, we used to be the example, and now other countries look at us as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
That's disheartening to me.
And beyond our politics, our response, this is a whole nother conversation, but our response to COVID is a joke. We are literally one of the leading countries of highest deaths and highest cases, from a president who said we have 15, 15 is going to turn to 0. No, it didn't, because you ignored it, and now we are the worst country, Brazil behind us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're in a third world country. Like, I don't get it. No offense to the world.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to read some.
I love the third world. I'd rather live there sometimes.
Right. I want to read some statistics from Forbes.com, which is pretty interesting, because I don't know if you guys follow what's been happening with the Kardashians and Forbes, but Kanye has been backing Forbes. But here's a quote. According to Ballotpedia, deadlines to file as an independent candidate for president have already passed in New York, Texas, New Mexico, Indiana, Maine, and North Carolina, whose 102 electoral votes, you have to remember, Electoral College is where it's at, would be critical to winning the presidency. Deadlines are also fast approaching in Florida, Oklahoma, Michigan, and South Carolina. Another 61 electoral votes. That would make just 375 electoral votes available. Difficult jumping off point in the race to 270. So Kanye West could definitely still have.
I think he registered to vote in Wyoming, and also I forgot to point out earlier, he also has never voted, and I think he's 36. Ish, 37. If you never voted, the first time you want to engage in politics is when you want to run for president, because you're so innovative. It's peak Gemini. Peak Gemini.
It's just irresponsible. It's irresponsible. It is so irresponsible.
It's very,
for you to utilize your platform, and this is how you want to utilize your platform. It's irresponsible, and it's just a shame.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aligning with that, and then you have these other celebrities such as Puffy and all these other people that are speaking out against voting for the Democratic front runner, which I understand he does need to work a lot harder. He needs to do a lot more in order to solidify our vote. But unfortunately, we're in we're playing devil's advocate, and we have to choose the worst evil at this point. So why not go for some place where we can possibly have effective change?
And you know what's funny? Where did the relationship between Kanye and Beyonce and Jay-Z, or maybe his relationship with Jay-Z, because they did Watch the Throne, and that was what, 2013, 2012?
Mhm.
When did their relationship turn where Kanye became this crazy right-wing capitalist who has no sense of Black politics and what's not best for our community, because no one really knows as a whole what's best for our community, but someone that advocates for us. He got into this Kardashian whirlwind and just lost it all. And, you know, the Carters are separating themselves from him. But it's like, where did you go, Kanye? I just really don't get how he like got off his rocker.
I mean, he could. Some say he could be a monolith for most people who obtain substantial wealth at a certain point in their life, where they no longer care about the community as a whole, or they seemingly don't, and they are out for themselves. And we don't know because we're not ultra famous. So I just have a belief that ultra fame and attention and constant scrutiny and people looking at you has a way of twisting your mind to a certain degree. And he's so out there, like we said, we don't really want to focus too much on him, but these conversations need to be had, and we need to educate, especially the young kids, the young children that are looking up to him, and they think, oh, it's going to be cool to check Kanye's name off in the ballot box. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. But go ahead.
I think he's probably always kind of felt this way.
Yeah.
If you listen to some of his music, like I just think of that lyric, "No one man should have all that power." And Kanye is someone that wants a lot of power. He will rebrand himself in different ways to make sure that in his mind he's on top. No one man should have all that power. And then when you get on, I'll leave you for a white girl. So some of these things, I think that he's always felt that way.
That was what he should do. Like when you get on, you
So
that's like
I feel like he's given us hints of who he was, and we just picked and choose what us as consumers or some people who are fans decided to do. Like we decided, oh, he's Kanye's this or Kanye's that, and I've even heard fans try to defend him for the slavery was a choice. I'm just like, I can't. So to me, I know y'all like, okay, we have to give him a platform or whatever, and I get it, but I'm just not. I'm over him. I'm over him. I've been over him for years.
I want to add one more thing is that we live in a very individualistic society, and I think that like he needs to understand his platform, his influence, and being able to bring it for the greater good. I think Jasmine was talking about and alluding to it too. It's just that like this idea of power, he's all about this power and trying to get hungry. And for us as a Black community, we hate to throw people away. I know there's a huge cancel culture that's going around nowadays, but we have to figure out how do we, us as influencers on our own society, how do we change the rhetoric and push it away from Kanye to make it feel like, to make our younger people, our young adults, our community out here not to be so easily persuaded by them.
Yeah.
And this is where I feel like we're going to have a hard time at, especially with, splitting the vote, and that's fine, but it's just more so like longevity wise, we have mental health issues that are at place right now, power issues, like individualistic issues, like we can go. I want to have a whole nother episode on hip hop by itself.
Yeah.
And I think the answer to your question is that we focus local. Like I think the more we focus on our local communities and building those up, because obviously if Kanye is going to run for president, if this is going to be the trend where we just have anyone standing in the presidency, we can't depend on our federal government. So we need to depend on and choose our local leaders more effectively.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of influence and ownership, and what we really want to talk about is, should we be out here arming ourselves with the heightened sense of, I guess, violence is what the right will be calling it. The Second Amendment is a hot button topic right now. Jerica, you brought up a very interesting video that you saw. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic so much is because I find that for whatever reason, there are some Black people that's like, yes, you know, I'm prepared. I have, you know, my firearms. But there a big portion that's like, no, I would never ever buy a gun. I don't believe in it. And I'm just like, you know, I'm from Texas. So I do think that we have a right to exercise our Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that this is a conversation that we should talk about, because the people that sometimes are getting the guns don't look like us and they're irresponsible. And
Yeah.
so when I saw this video, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it.
Explain the video for us.
Yeah, so this was the video of the Caucasian woman that drew out her gun on a Black woman and her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the clip that was going,
Go ahead.
the clip that was going viral was just that first part, like you just see her doing the gun. But this particular clip is the entire video. And in this video, you can see the lady saying, you know, it's not about racism. Like, it was an accident. I didn't mean to push you. Now, the Black lady is like, no, you're racist because you did push me intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if there was some, you know, vulgar language that was going on, but that's what happened. So you can see the husband putting his wife in the car. They're about to drive away. Now, the individuals, the Black woman is going back and forth with him, telling him, hey, you know, you're racist. He's like, I'm not racist. We're not racist. She's saying everything's not about racism. That's the wife saying everything's not about racism. So they are arguing back and forth. Okay. Now, all the viral clip was the end, and all you see is the white lady pulling out her gun on the mother and the daughter.
Oh, so this is a different angle.
This is a different angle.
Wow.
Okay, so this is what you see. So what happened was, as they were pulling off, someone walks behind the vehicle. And if you guys remember, the viral clip is just like, oh, she pulled out her gun because I tapped the back of her van, which in essence is true, but there was a verbal altercation that took place prior to this viral clip that no one talks about. Okay. Now, the reason why I thought that this was super controversial, because was the Black women that were involved in the video, were they, I should say, making the situation more heated? Absolutely.
Agitated.
Yeah. They were absolutely making it more heated. But is that a reason for you to pull out your gun on someone? Absolutely not. It was irresponsible. They tell you that when you purchase a gun, you have to take a test. That is on the test. As well as, if your life is not in danger, you do not pull out a gun on anyone.
Right.
And people were taking that statement to mean that the Black lady's actions were okay, and they were not okay. But they were like, drop the charges on this, you know, on the white lady. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's irresponsible. And one wrong trigger happy turn, they could have been dead.
Yeah.
And if you are not able to control your emotion or de-escalate a situation verbally or physically with your hands, then you do not need to have a gun.
Yeah. Christian, what are your thoughts on gun ownership in the community? Should we as Black people be arming ourselves?
I just had a conversation last night with some friends on Zoom, and they talked about the video as well. And so I didn't see the back part of where they were hitting the window and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends all of us were Black on the call, were mostly saying that, like, you know, the white woman actually was in the right for being able to pull it out on them. Meaning, I know, unpopularly, but their thing is like, okay, well, I believe in one clip, she even was like, you know, Black Lives Matter, the point of, you know, race isn't an issue here, and apologize and said, I'm sorry. I mean, imagine if someone was behind your car and you were pregnant, and, you know, speaking to you ladies, if you're pregnant and, you know, someone are trying to come at you, would you, and you know, Gigi, you just said that you from Texas, and somebody did that. She's in a car. I mean, what? You wanted to run her over?
She didn't have to get out of her car.
She didn't have to get out of her car, but I mean, would you have done? I mean, I guess that's a little bit more personal.
Absolutely not.
So with that being said, I personally do not like guns. I'm not a proponent of guns, and not just the fact because California can't have guns, but also it's just too much to worry about. I just feel like it gives people too much power. And like you're saying, alluding to the white woman not being of that that psyche available, not understanding that her life was really in danger. For some reason, when Black people get irate or get loud or angry, they're like, "Oh my God, my life is so in danger." It's like, no,
or I can't do my work.
Like I'm just talking. Like,
what did you mean by in California you can't have guns? What do you mean?
California, I mean, we can have guns, but it's not like an open carry.
Not an open carry state.
It's an open carry, like y'all go around and have it on your hip. In Georgia and all the other places. But I mean, if we go back historically, I have to add it in. The reason why guns were banned because of what? Why was it open carry? Because of what?
The Black Panthers.
Right. So that's why Black people are. I feel like the community should protect themselves. They should go to a Black-owned gun store, learn how to shoot, get the proper training and protection. And I think that, overall, just like we have to figure out if we want to make this a federal law or a state's law, because I don't think it's fair for us to be not open arms, but then you have Georgia and Texas and everyone else to have open arms. I think it should be a one federal rule open carry. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in really quick. So I'm kind of on the fence with both of you guys. While I personally wouldn't have a gun, I want my man to have a gun. I think that you have a right to protect your home. I think you have a right to protect your livelihood, your family, your friends. But with that said, I think if we treat guns like we treat our driver's license, then I'm good with everybody having guns. But I think we have a lot of people who are mentally ill. I worry about us having guns legally with our papers in open carry states and it being on our seat in our car and the police pull us over and then now they're threatened because we have a gun on our seat and now they shooting into our car. Right. I think that happened with Fidel. Yeah, exactly. I just don't want to mess up his name.
But he didn't do anything wrong. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Exactly. That's what worries me. So I think if it's a mass exodus or a mass buying of guns, I just worry it's going to turn into the Wild West.
There is a mass buying of guns. It's happening right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you shared a video earlier about the Panthers, and then we saw over the weekend the Not to Fuck With coalition over in Stone Mountain. So these militias, if you will, are coming up, and it's like, okay, what are they doing, and what is the impact in the story that's going to be in media if we continue to show only these videos? Then they're going to get scared, and then it's going to be all this, these Black people with guns and militias, it's the Black Panthers, and then it's going to be a whole shit show. Yeah. So I think that, yes, we should have guns responsibly, but I think we should also remember, and if we're recording, that we record responsibly so that we don't get ourselves caught up.
Right. We have a comment from Ernest Payne. He said, I think everyone should have a gun in the house, and that's where it should stay.
Exactly.
I don't know about you guys, but I know people in my family have guns, but as a child, I never saw it. I never knew where it was. My grandfather had a sign up on the door that's still there to this day, God rest his soul, that says this house is, managed by a gun or we have gun security at this house 2 out of the 7 nights a week. You decide which night. You know, so not threatening, but okay, try your luck if you want to, but we got a gun. I want to also show a video to you guys really quickly, and it just popped in my head. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Derek Grace too. He went viral for some videos of him teaching his kids how to use guns. They know how to change out the blocks. They know how to do everything. He even had a video of his daughter. I couldn't find it. She was blindfolded, and he would put a gun in her hand, and she could tell him exactly which gun it was. She also had her reciting the Second Amendment, saying that she had the right to bear arms. So, you know, if we do decide that we want to arm ourselves, as I mentioned, as a child, I was never, you know, privy to where the guns were kept in the house. At what level do we start teaching the youth, or do we teach the youth how to be careful with guns and how to arm themselves? What do you guys think?
I don't mind.
What do you think, Sharik? I want to know what you think.
It's hard. I really don't like guns. I really don't. But then at the same time, I'm about defending myself, you know, when necessary. I haven't been faced with a time where I think it's been completely necessary to have a gun. I'm kind of where Jasmine is, like, let the man have it. You know, I'm not the feminist, you know, in that way. But I'm scared. But then I also know at the same time, there's people that are making their own guns. You don't have to necessarily have a license to go get a gun. That's how Billy and Tommy are out there shooting people with unregistered guns that are made out of plastic or whatever. They're, you know, so it's a slippery slope. And we have to remember that there's a whole other world of guns going on in the world.
And, you know, we have to think about it as a cultural thing, right? I think a lot of the Second Amendment rights, and like you said, you're from Texas. I remember meeting one of my coworkers, and she had a gun. I think she had a pink gun or something cute. And she was like, yeah, like everybody in Texas has guns. If everybody in Texas has guns, hell yeah, Jasmine Kent is going to have, I just said my government, but she is going to have a gun because, you know, we got to be in Maryland, I don't need a gun. Like, no one's walking around with gunslinging. But it's also, if I am a hunter, if my family hunts, then my kids are going to be raised using a gun because I want my husband, I want my uncles and everyone to go out and be able to have that relationship with the kid where they're going hunting deer and shout out to Peter and hunting rabbit and stuff and bringing it home just like they bring home fish.
Sorry to the vegans out there.
I mean,
I want to bring up something that Mike Brown said. Mike Brown said, sadly, we are arming ourselves because we are at a point where we can't trust the police to protect us. Now, I think I like his comment for a few different reasons. Are there people going out and getting guns for this very reason? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Are there people getting guns because there is a gun race in every presidential election because they feel like gun laws will change? Absolutely. Yeah. Are there people that have already believed in guns and they already have a gun collection? Absolutely. So the reasons why people arm themselves are going to be different. It's not all one thing, you know, and I think that there's this idea that, oh, you know what? Black people start getting guns, we're about to start a militia or a race war, when really it's just more so like maybe getting a firearm will give me a peace of mind.
And they always, I think the thing is, they think it's going to go directly to the hood because anytime the Black person has a gun, it's going to go to the hood and then it's going to be black on black crime, blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, we have a strong middle class that I think its function can have a gun, functionally can have a gun and be safe with a gun. Yeah,
I just think too, I think we're not looking at the source, you know, like we're focusing on guns, but there's a reason as to why people feel that they need to have guns. So if we take away the reason as to why people need to have guns, will we still need guns? You know? So that's my thing. I think that's kind of where my brain is at. You know,
everyone's reasons are different. That's why I was like, that's why I gave the different reasons, because everybody's reason is different.
And then, you know, I talked to my grandmother actually about it when I told her I was considering getting my gun license, and she's 92. And she was like, you know, I was raised and I went all these years without a gun. Why do you need a gun? And I'm like, well, for me, it's different. Like,
Times have changed, Granny.
Times have changed. But also, you were married when you were 22, baby. I'm older than that. And if I'm living by myself, not that I do now, but I need to know that I'm good in my house.
But pepper spray or a taser isn't good enough?
I had that, but they got to get up close. If they have a gun in my house, you know, try to just shoot me because I'm black in my window. Who knows? It's like taken or something. It's purge.
You have a particular set of skills.
Literally, like, and let's think of Breonna Taylor, right? Like, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Like, her, when we were talking about, somebody said, like, black men don't sometimes protect black women. And I was like, her fiance was protecting her. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she died in her, you know, she died. And I'm thinking about the comment that you guys made of like, my man can have a gun, but why not you? You know what I mean? Like that is.
I have my personal reasons why I don't want to have a gun.
Right. I understand, but there's probably several women that think like that, right? Yeah. My dad didn't raise us like that. He had a security company. So my thing is, in the event my man may be at the store and someone is breaking into my house and I'm feared for my life, he may not be there. So it's not to say that you have to.
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't feel as though I should know how. Like I've been to a gun range. I've shot. I have a uncle who's a sergeant. You know, I feel as though, you know, I know enough to be able to defend myself, but actually me going and purchasing and having it and, you know, having my little pink gun or whatever, that to me, well, no, because she was talking about her friend with the pink gun. You're talking about the pink gun.
If I had a shotgun, okay? You know, right. I don't know. Like,
Christian, you're going to say something?
I think what we need to think about is like, you know, this idea of safety, this idea of security. I think guns bring that for sure for a lot of people. Like it was Ernest that said like it should stay in the house. I think when I get the house, maybe later on I probably might get one. But I grew up with my grandparents. We didn't have guns and stuff. At least I didn't know. They hid it from me at least. Yeah. And so me, I think it also deals with like the way you were raised, your environment, your you know, your cultural experience. And for me, growing up in a church, you know, God was our gun. You know, He's the peace of all. And so for us, it was just like, you know, we never have hope and faith. And so also, you know, the world and those that are agnostic and atheists, they believe like in karma, right? So, you know, those you never know what you may attract, the laws of the universe. Exactly. And so I think, you know, we also have to have that conversation. I was looking up because when you were talking about like guns and black crime, like there was about 6 to 8 kids that were murdered over the weekend for 4th of July. I don't know. Horrible. Right. And so it's like guns take lives. And I don't know.
Do guns take lives or do people take lives?
Exactly.
And I was just about to say it. That's why that video made me feel some type of way, because they were trying to justify that lady's actions. She could have easily de-escalated that situation without pulling out her gun.
She could have just gotten in the car and just been quiet. Like, you don't have to be under that long. Definitely.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, too, if you look at some of the arguments about, you know, a couple of years ago, I know there's so many Trump headlines over the past few years, but he was saying, let's arm our schools. Let's put guns into our schools. If there's a mass shooter, they're armed. But then if you guys look at what happened not too far away from LA, somewhere where the security guard actually had a gun, but he still ran.
Yeah.
So
it's a difference between having a shotgun and having a military firearm.
Correct.
I think that no one besides the military needs a military style magazine.
When you're fighting in a fight, there is no such thing as a fair fight. So people have those AKs, they gonna have the military weapons. You think that bringing that up, I'm thinking about like, what if the world just all had handheld guns? Is that what you're alluding to? Is that what you're referring to? Because I would have to disagree.
I mean, look, then it's going to be the Wild Wild West.
My thing is, I think there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. I just think you have to be responsible. Because hypothetically speaking, let's just say, I don't know, someone's breaking into. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, okay? I said several articles today. The reality of it is, guns are being purchased. That's just it. That's what it is. Are they being purchased by us? Maybe some of them. But over the weekend in Virginia, I think it said 16,000 guns were being purchased. And I was talking to my friend who's
Virginians.
Huh?
I don't trust the Virginians.
And I was talking to my friend, he's from New York. I said, how many of those do you think was Black people? He said probably 300.
Yeah, because also Virginia, you have to remember Richmond. I went to school. Shout out to VCU. It's the capital of the Confederacy. That's where Monument Avenue is, where all the drama about pulling down those monuments are. You remember Charlottesville, where all the KKKs went to University of Virginia and had all the protests and everything. Virginia is where, the slaves came into Jamestown in Virginia.
Yep.
So you have to remember what Virginia is, one.
Virginia, we're not prepared. At the end of the day, we're not
at all. And Virginia,
as Black people, we are not prepared, unfortunately.
But you know what? Actually, to counter your argument, I do think, because Virginia is a big state and Virginia has a lot of country, I think that it might be more than 300 in Virginia who bought guns for the sake of their homes are probably secluded enough where they need to protect themselves because they know they have the KKK and they have the wizards down there.
Well, I'm reading a stat. It says between March and May of 2020, 2.1 million firearms were purchased, 64% increase. And I know that we have to look at it in a class dynamic as well. Maybe that's why a lot of people aren't buying guns, because they are expensive. Plus, get your background check. Plus, you got to get like all this, what is it? The ammunition. What is it called?
Ammunition. Right. And if I'm dealing with COVID and I got to go to work and I'm all this.
Funny. But think about that too. And then I'm sure you can't buy a gun if you have a felony on your record. And then let's not even go into, mass incarceration rates within the Black community and men not being able to have that ability to purchase guns. So we're definitely, either way, we're going to be outnumbered completely. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence, honestly. I can't say I'm going to go buy a gun tomorrow unless I feel as though there's some sort of immediate threat to my household.
The thing about it is,
don't you think it's going to be too late once it's...
Exactly. And you took the words right out of my mouth. I said the reality of it is, it's better to go through the process and have one, even if it sits in wherever your safe place is, than to wait until things hit the fan and you're not able to get one.
Right.
So
I do think about the purge. I really do. All the purges. The last one was election season or something like that. Election day.
Watch that movie. What are you gonna say, Christian?
I want to ask, it goes back to the question at hand. Like, what does protection really look like for the Black community? And so this is, I think, a question. Bottle of wine, right? Drink it red.
You doing an advertisement or what?
I just gotta go on this influencer status.
What does protection look like for us? Is that, I think that's a real serious question that
I think, and this is great. Omar just brought this up, just taken right out of my mouth. He said, ever since the Black Panthers, the government has moved to disarm Black people. J. Edgar Hoover, if you are familiar with his whole idea of disarming the Black Panthers, they were a terrorist group, according to him. They were arming themselves on the streets of Oakland. It became a widespread thing nationwide. They knew their laws. They went into government buildings with their arms. And that was a threat. When you see Black people armed in the way that they were, and they were educated on top of that, not just, stupidly running around with guns, playing cops and robbers. They were protecting the community, and they had to do away with the Black Panthers completely. They infiltrated the system. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in one of the first episodes. I have a cousin who's still in jail to this day, who was accused of murdering a cop. He was a Black Panther. He maintains his innocence, and he is still not being let out of jail with COVID. Even diagnosed, and it's very systemic, and it's a lot deeper than I think we even realize. It's going to be very difficult for us to even be able to arm ourselves, at majority state.
As time goes on, it is going to be a lot more difficult. But what bothers me is we always have to go to the extreme. Yeah, like it's always like, okay, the Black Panther, but me living by myself as a single woman, I'm not a part of the Black Panther. I'm not. So it's like
they're going to look at you and think what they want to think.
I don't really care what they think as long as they give me what I want. So my thing is this, is that anytime we start talking about guns, people are like, oh man, the Black Panther, and there's so many people of other races that are getting guns, not because they're part of the Ku Klux Klan, they're getting them because they want to protect their households. And I think that we have a right to enforce our Second Amendment. You don't have to utilize it. But this, I don't know if it's fear or this mindset that in the event that I purchase something to protect myself, if someone breaks into my home and I'm not able to defend myself with mace or a knife, it's the last result, then I have that option as the last result. I'm not saying
it's also crazy how we all have this fear of having a gun. I wonder what a white, like a white panel, how would they feel about this? Because also, when you think about it, is what they're really nervous about, and what they're nervous about with the Black Panthers is that, like the girl's viral video a couple weeks ago, is us getting revenge on white people. That's what they're nervous about us having guns for. And I'm not.
Yet they have multiple guns in their households. Mike said
it's a common thing. It's nothing to them to have a gun because they do better to have and not use than to need and not have. Exactly.
That's how I feel. I mean, at the end of the day,
hey, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, okay?
That's true. I'm a pray. You
know what? That's your soul. That's not your human body, because we are spirit.
You're right. I'm on the fence. I can't say there's something I'm going to go do tomorrow. I have gone to a gun range. I feel as though if, need be, if somebody put a gun in my hand and I needed to pop off, I could pop off and I could do so. It's very scary, though. It's an actually scary device to actually physically hold in your hand and to shoot. To me, it is.
It doesn't have to be if it was normalized, because the reality of it is, by the time people get comfortable with the idea, they're not going to be able to get one.
Yeah, I think I just struggle with it being a normalcy. I think that, to me, everyone having a gun, if we don't need guns, we don't need guns. If there was no threat, we wouldn't need guns. I think I'm more so.
But we have a threat.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. My concern is, how do we get rid of the threat? We're not going to get rid of the threat by also having guns. I don't think that that's going to stop the threat. You know what I mean? I just think it's going to add more fuel to the fire. At least that's in my mind. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. Y'all tell me. But
I agree with Omar. He says that more gun safety and shooting classes should be taught in the Black community, which is
true. Then it'll be normalized. There's fear. There's fear associated with guns. I say this all the time. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood, but on the weekends and stuff, I would go to my Black cousins in all Black neighborhoods. So I've seen both sides. And the reality of it is, if this was normalized, like, hey, you have a right to your Second Amendment to bear arms, in the event it gets to that point, then it wouldn't be so scary.
But I think
not have it at all.
And
and there does need to be education behind it, because it doesn't make sense if it's in your house and you don't know how to use it.
Right. Okay. And I understand this, but it's also, okay, when do you, if I'm a drug dealer on the corner and someone takes my money and doesn't pay me, then I'm gonna feel like I need to shoot the motherfucker so that he can know that he needs to give me my money. Maybe I shoot him in the leg, maybe I shoot him in the heart. When I'm heated, I'm a Black man who I just, my hormones are rising. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna just shoot the motherfucker. That's when it becomes a problem. And it's a lot of that happens.
It's always these extreme, just like that white lady.
I don't think that's an extreme. I think that happens often.
Maybe they already have guns. That's the thing. They
already have guns. And it's not and when I'm saying that, I'm not saying Black on Black crime is an issue. Like, that negates the whole.
What happens when they break into your house? Then what?
I think that if you don't have shit to get in the house, then I'm not breaking into your house.
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
Your house looks nice. They break into your house.
Going to the hood and breaking into somebody's hood ass house?
They do it all the time. They still call
all the time.
Yeah. I also think you mentioned education, right? You mentioned education. So then there we go. There's another issue. We know systemically education there's not going to be an equal playing field in terms of access to education in any sector. So there's not going to be equal education with guns and how to manage your guns, how to use your guns in all of the communities. Socioeconomically, it's not going to be fair. It's not going to be equal. So we're going to be outnumbered. We're already outnumbered.
There are gun ranges in each major city.
And they cost.
It's just about
They
have Groupons right now for $50 and $100.
Let's send it in our group chat. We're going to go.
It's just the education. It's like, if you don't have the conversation, then you don't know the knowledge, right? So it's like, it's not, guns are expensive. They're going to be about $500 to $700. Absolutely. They're expensive. But just like you save for anything else, you can save for it. Yeah. So people spend money on what they want to spend it on. Just like you be like, man, I don't have no money, but then you people was paying $700 to $800 for a section at the club. But you're gonna tell me you don't have no money for A, B, and C's. People spend money on what they want to spend money on. And if I want to say nothing else, it's just more so like, it's better to have and not use than somebody's breaking into your house. Because again, that question was never asked, answered. And what do you do?
I mean, if you really need my stuff out my house, you can have it. I'm not really. That's my philosophy on things. Like,
yeah, they're gonna have it as they kill you too.
They're not gonna kill me if I'm willing. Like, here you go.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? You're a witness. Why wouldn't they kill you?
I mean, that's
that's not what I'm worried
about. I don't see nothing.
I just think overall we just have we have a fear mentality, as you mentioned, and I think we tend to have the worst case scenario mentality as well. I'm not saying I'm the biggest optimist. I'm very faith based. I choose to just not think about those things, and it could be irresponsible of me. I'm a single woman. Well, technically, I'm not married, but I live by myself, and it's just something that I tend to not worry myself about. I do want to go know my neighbors, know who's in my neighborhood, know the people that are surrounding me. If you don't see me for a few days, that's something I've been thinking about.
Right.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about, that I need to be a little bit more active in terms of knowing my neighborhood and knowing the people, so that people are familiar. If you hear me screaming and you my next door neighbor, call the police.
I see that too.
If
my neighbors don't see me, they're gonna text or call me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Well, I'll get back to you guys on that. Me and Jerick, I'm going with you to the gun range.
There's one up the street in Inglewood. Okay.
But I want to get to our final thoughts. We got to close out really quickly. Anybody want to start first with their final thoughts for the week?
I'll go last because I'm thinking. Y'all got me hyped up.
I'll go first.
Let's go to Miss Jessie. Go ahead, girl.
So I want to shout out Just Us. Please text Just Us to 31996. It is an app that will, you can check in and say that you are safe to 5 designated contacts. If you get pulled over, you can say Just Us heads up, and it will alert your 5 designated contacts in the community of Just Us. So people who also have the app. And then if you text Just Us help, it will live stream to Facebook if you so choose, as well as to your 5 designated contacts, so that it can be accountability on the scene if you are to get pulled over by law enforcement. Text Just Us to 31996, and we'll alert you when the app is available in the Apple Store.
I'm gonna text it right now.
Nice. I'm not gonna text it right now because they're gonna think I'm in trouble, but I'm gonna definitely look it up.
But that's just to set it up, right? You text the number,
right? So it's probably next week-ish, but we want to make sure people are aware of it. Get the download. This is a Black-owned community feature that will share community news in the major locations that we're at. So Los Angeles, the Carolinas, Minneapolis, Chicago, Philly, New York.
Nice. And this is a Black-owned company, correct?
Black-owned by a Black mother.
Yes.
When her son went to go get his license, she was so nervous and worked up, and she's also a psychologist. So she was trying to figure out ways to combat the stress that mothers have when their son is driving, or their daughter's out driving and, hitting the streets. Because, that's what our mixy girls do. So she just wanted an app to kind of feel like they can check in discreetly without, calling mom and saying, hey, mom.
Got it. That's good.
Download support.
Thank you for that. Christian?
Yeah, definitely. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been joining us these last couple of weeks. I know we've been having a great time doing this, and just continue to share, let people know that we're out here trying to do something for our young urban professionals.
Yeah.
Please also visit sos10.org. Myself and alongside with a lot of different community organizers out here in the Lancaster, Palmdale area is trying to make some change socially, politically, economically, and spiritually as well. And so this is a petition. Please go to sos10.org and share. I want to leave you with two thoughts. One is about self-care. A lot of us do a lot of things for the community, for helping people. This has been heavy on my heart, dealing with just a lot of stuff, especially with like Black men, young boys, learning how to self-care, learning about understanding your emotions and dealing with it. Continue to try to figure out who you are and love who you are, and that will help you at the end of the day. If you got to go buy some shoes, or go turn off the TV and turn off the TV and lay at home, or do something that's going to help your mental health. And then also mentorship program. I want to just encourage everyone that's out there, join a mentoring program somewhere.
Yes.
Please, our community needs it, seriously.
Yes. Well, I'll go and then I'll pass it to you, Jerica. I want to thank Christian, who actually came on board last minute to be a part of the Justice Film Festival. He did a panel with Andrea Lewis, who I don't know if you guys know her from Degrassi. She's a actress. She's a film director, producer. She has a film called Black Men that touches on Black men in the community. A really good short film. So make sure you head over to Binge Wave. That's my other company. Christian did a great job having a good conversation with her. That was really interesting. So thank you, Christian. I'm glad the film festival is over because it was stressful. But I just love the synergy of, it's funny, just us,
because just us is just
the thing. And it's not trendy. I don't want people to think that this is a trend. As much as what's going on in the world is very heavy, I do have some hope in the future and seeing the younger generations really stepping up to bat. And I see a glimmer of hope for all of us. When I'm 60 years old, I think we might be okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Jerica.
And my last thought would be, again, like Christian said, thank you guys for tuning in. Some of you guys have been with us since day one. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to be a part of the movement so that we can facilitate these conversations. You guys have great feedback in the comments. Sometimes you teach us things, sometimes I learn things from you guys, and sometimes we just get different points of view. So continue to please tune in. Thank you. And I also want to tell you guys to, if you haven't already, followed us on all of social media, our personal pages, but also YEP_network, just to be connected with us on all of our platforms. And last but not least, sometimes we have this idea that to protect ourselves is, it gets scary and it's fearful. And I think that that's okay. But I encourage you guys to challenge your fears, because it's better possibly to have and to never, ever have to use than to not have. And when the time comes, you're not prepared and you cannot protect yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone be safe. And thank you for tuning in.
Yep. And we're going on a field trip to the gun range. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in.